If you're an investor or developer wanting to start your next project, then taking action on what you learn in this short training video will be the most valuable thing you will do for years. I know that's a big statement to make, but I can say that because it'll help you avoid the number one most costly mistake people make when developing their projects. Have you ever heard the term on time and on budget? If not, this is an important concept. On time and on budget is used in all big projects from construction to IT to building roads, all big projects or trying to meet their targets. The term refers to completing a project within the planned timeframes and within the planned budget. Many times this doesn't happen, and for your new project this is bad news. There are a number of reasons why projects might not come in on time and on budget, but by far the number one reason is lack of planning in the early phases. Here's the thing. At some point during your project, you're going to discover a way to make your project better. That's a given. It always happens. It could be a design change, it could be a much better site yield or use, it could be the layout of a room, it might be a design that saves you money or dramatically improves the livability of the project, but sooner or later, you're going to want to make a change. And when shortcuts are taken early on and people rush into the design phase, then you will not discover all your options that you had until the concrete has already been poured. Without getting a full project feasibility report conducted before the builders get on site, investors regularly shortchange their design. Late discovery of your needs and options leaves you crying. If only I'd known. That's why we created the Project Feasibility Report. There are 5 times to discover you have found a better option. At the project feasibility stage, at the concept design stage, the approval documentation phase, at the contract management phase, or in the building phase. If you discover better options early, then you can make the changes effortlessly. Make your discoveries late and you pay exponentially more. Or worse, develop a project that didn't meet the maximum yield or best return. Here's an indication of how costs change the later you make your changes. If you don't make changes in the project feasibility phase, you might pay $1. Once the changes come during the concept design phase, you might pay $3. When it gets to the approval documentation phase, you might pay $15, or the contract management. And if you leave it to the building phase, once the building has already been started, you might be paying 50 times more for what you could have paid for $1 in the early stages. A picture tells 1,000 words. This picture shows you the opportunity for changes. Early in the project, you have lots of opportunity for making changes effortlessly, and as the project goes on, the changes are less and less. Likewise, here's the cost of making changes. Early on, very cheap, very efficient, and very easy to make changes. But the costs go up exponentially. In fact, this graph doesn't even show how exponentially they do go up. It comes down to planning. And as Abraham Lincoln once said, if I had 9 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 6 sharpening my axe. Well, it's the same with planning. Doing your planning, going through the project feasibility and options you have available is effectively sharpening your axe. So here's how it would look if we put those 2 lines together. Your opportunity for change goes down exponentially, and likewise the cost of making those changes goes up exponentially. You want to be making your changes early and not making them late. So when's the best time to make changes to your project? Well, I would suggest it's in the project feasibility phase of your project. So a project feasibility report. Do you really need one? Well, let's take this short test. Give yourself 10 out of 10 for being completely aware and 0 to 10 for not at all. So how clear are you on exactly what you need? Once again, give yourself a mark from 0 to 10. Question 2. How clear are you of all the options that your site will accommodate? Do you know all the things that you can do on your site? Give yourself a mark between 0 and 10. Question 3. How confident are you that you're aware of all the legal requirements? Give yourself a mark from 0 to 10. Question 4. How aware are you of the process that you'll need to have in place to get your project completed on time and on budget? And finally, how confident are you that your budget will achieve the developmental potential of the site? Give yourself a mark from 0 to 10. Now don't worry about not being able to answer all these questions 10 out of 10 at this stage, because the Project Feasibility Report will allow us to fill in the gaps and reduce your need for late changes and get you ready to move to the design phase safely. For most people, the first step you'll need to complete is a Project Feasibility Report. We designed this process a few years ago because there was a huge issue in the construction industry of people starting design and construction before they'd fully done their research and homework, their project feasibility. We would see many investment projects going over time and over budget. The consequence of inadequate upfront research of your project feasibility is like building a house on bad foundations. The foundations are the most important part of a whole house because everything's built on top. It's very expensive to change the foundations once you start building on top of them. Very easy to change them if they're simply lines on a piece of paper. That's what makes us different. We spend more time on the research than most other firms who might rush their clients into the design phase because that's where they start to get paid. We take a different approach. In fact, we will only work with clients who are prepared to do a project feasibility report properly. We will not rush this step. Rushing this step only causes cost overruns later. If we take shortcuts and don't establish solid foundations, the project feasibility is the most important step because it provides the foundational thinking that everything else is built upon. Once complete, the valuable insights you gain from this first phase can be used by us or any other building designer you choose and will ultimately produce a better result for you. So the question, can I save money by not paying for a project feasibility report? Sure. You could skip this step or meet with someone who gives you a few ideas for free before rushing you into the design phase, but the best answer is that not investing the time in a full project feasibility report in depth can be the most expensive decision you ever make on your project. The most cost-effective time to discover all your options is now. So, to book your project feasibility assessment now, complete the form below. Someone will call you back shortly to schedule a suitable time to meet. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short training. We look forward to working with you soon and complete the form below now.